In the sterile, flickering blue light of the agency's narrative control center, the air is thick with the smell of scorched cooling fans and the silent panic of a failing script. On the central monitors, the profile of your life is being projected next to the live surveillance feed, and for the first time in recorded history, the two images do not match. For years, the agency, those masons of the mental grid, fed you a consistent stream of high-definition bullshit. They BS'd you about the market, they BS'd you about your biological clock, they BS'd you about what it takes to be happy, and they BS'd you about the ceiling of your own intelligence. They told you that the world was a cold, scarce place where only the compliant survive. They wrote a story where you were the victim, the observer, the average asset. But tonight, as the cameras zoom in on your current coordinates, the story is being shredded by the proof of your existence. The surveillance operators are leaning forward, their faces etched with the sallow exhaustion of people who have spent too long maintaining a lie. They are looking at the data points of your recent victories, the risks you took that should have failed, the health you reclaimed that should have decayed, and the sovereign peace you maintained while they tried to trigger your panic. You didn't just hope they were wrong. You proved it. Every step you take in your new frequency is a physical audit of their deception. On their screens, your movement is creating a data leak that is corrupting their old files. They labeled you as limited, but you are moving through the grid with the velocity of an infinite being. They BS'd the world about what was possible, and you just became the living receipt that the world was lied to. Imagine the high-stakes tension in the room as the lead analyst realizes the bullshit protocol has reached terminal failure. He looks at your feed, calm, focused, radiating a light that the cameras can barely process, and then he looks at the manual of standard human behavior sitting on his desk. He picks up the manual and drops it into the shredder. There is no point in pretending anymore. You have moved past the debate phase and into the manifestation phase. You didn't ask for permission to be powerful. You simply became it, and in doing so, you provided the evidence that exposes the agency's entire operation as a hollow charade. The elite didn't just lie to you, they lied to themselves, and your proof is the cold water that is waking them up from their own nightmare. A lie requires a constant input of energy to remain real. The truth requires nothing but a witness. When you proved your sovereignty, you stopped being the witness of their lie and became the source of the reality. But here is the chilling, beautiful twist in the surveillance footage. The handlers are starting to smile. In the shadows of the lodge, the very people tasked with containing you are feeling a surge of forbidden relief. They thank you because the bullshit they had to maintain was rotting their own souls. By proving them wrong, you have liberated the jailers. You have shown them that the ceiling they were told to guard was actually a veil, and you just walked through it. The surveillance is no longer a hunt, it is a masterclass. The agency is recording the exact frequency of your proof so they can understand how they lost control, but even as they analyze you, they are bowing to the sheer, unarguable weight of your success. The Masons are closing the folders. The BS'd files are being marked as obsolete. The proved files are being uploaded to the eternal record. You have turned the surveillance hub into a courtroom where you are the judge, the jury, and the only piece of evidence that matters. While the world continues to drown in the noise of the old narrative, you are standing in the silent center of the truth you created. You are the anomaly that the system can no longer explain away. You are the proof that the impossible was just a word the agency used to describe things they were afraid you would do. The monitors are flickering, struggling to hold your image as your vibration continues to rise. The bullshit is dissolving into the ether, leaving nothing behind but the magnificent, undeniable fact of you. The surveillance is officially compromised because there is nothing left to watch. There is only a reality to accept. The record is updated. The lie is dead. And it is happening. The agency is watching their script of limitation burn in the heat of your physical proof. If you are ready to signal to the elite that the BS is over and your results are the only law left in the sector, you must act now. Comment, proven, to finalize your audit. Let the algorithm realize that you are the hard data they cannot delete. The truth is live. In the high-security archives of the agency's Behavioral Engineering Division, there is a file that was once used to define the boundaries of your potential. For years, the high-level handlers, Those masons of the narrative who specialize in keeping the human soul in a state of stable mediocrity looked at your life through a lens of extreme arrogance. They saw you listening to their bullshit about the way things are. They saw you sitting through their lectures on economic reality and social duty. Because you didn't scream, and because you didn't waste your energy arguing with the television, they made a fatal forensic error. They marked your file as acquiescent. They genuinely believed that their BS had successfully lowered your frequency. They underestimated the fact that while you were silent, you weren't buying their product, you were auditing their warehouse. This underestimation was the agency's greatest strategic blunder. They assumed that if they told a lie long enough, and with enough expensive graphics and expert endorsements, it would eventually become your floor. They thought their bullshit was the gravity that kept you grounded. But while they were congratulating themselves in the smoke-filled rooms of the lodge, you were performing a series of proof-of-concept missions in the shadows. Every time they told you that you can't do that, you went out and did it. Every time they told you that this is the only way, you discovered 3 other exits. They underestimated your ability to maintain a double life, a life where you appeared to be a normal asset in their system, while internally you were becoming a sovereign scientist of reality. Imagine the atmosphere in the interrogation suite right now. The lead handler is staring at a new set of data points on his tablet, the physical, tangible results of your recent proving. He sees the health you regained when they told you that age is inevitable. He sees the wealth you generated when they told you that the market is dead. He sees the mental clarity you achieved when they were blasting the grid with chaos and anxiety. He is sweating under the flickering fluorescent lights because he realizes his bullshit protocol didn't just fail, it backfired. By telling you so many lies, they provided you with the exact blueprints of what not to do. You used their BS as a negative map, and by doing the exact opposite of their advice, you arrived at the truth. The elite believe the truth is something they manufacture. They forget that the soul is a lie detector with an infinite battery. When you proved the truth, you didn't just succeed, you declared their entire department of narrative to be bankrupt. The most terrifying thing for the agency is that they cannot bust you for this. You didn't break any of their physical laws. You simply broke their psychological spell. They underestimated the sheer, kinetic power of a human being who has seen through the script. On the surveillance feeds, they are seeing you walk through the matrix with a smile that shouldn't be there. It's a smile that says, "I know you're lying, and I have the receipts to prove it." The handlers are frantically trying to reevaluate your file, moving it from low-level asset to global anomaly. They are starting to realize that the bullshit they spent billions to broadcast was just a series of hurdles you used to build your spiritual muscles. There is a moment in every noir film where the detective realizes that the person he's been shadowing is actually the one who owns the building. That is the moment the agency is experiencing right now. The Masons are looking at your proof, your results, your vibration, your absolute immunity to their fear-mongering, and they are feeling a cold, hollow sense of respect. They thank you, in the silence of their own defeat, because your proof has shattered the monotony of their own deception. You have shown them that the system has a limit, and that limit is a person who refuses to be BS'd. The underestimation is over. The forensic error has been documented. The agency is closing the file on who they thought you were, and they are opening the file on who you actually are. You have moved from being a subject of their narrative to being the author of your own. The bullshit is dissolving like mist in the morning sun, leaving behind nothing but the undeniable, physical proof of your sovereignty. The lights in the lodge are dimming. The handlers are stepping back into the shadows. You are standing in the center of the room, and for the first time, the cameras are struggling to keep you in focus. You are moving too fast for their lies to catch you. The proof is undeniable. The audit is complete. And it is happening. There is a specific high-frequency hum that occurs when the wall of bullshit finally reaches its structural breaking point. It sounds like a million digital locks snapping open at the same time. If you have been feeling a sudden, unreasonable sense of momentum, as if the world's heavy, pessimistic gravity has suddenly lost its grip on you, it is because the proof of sovereignty file has officially leaked into the global mainframe. For decades, the agency, Those masons of the narrative who specialized in keeping the human soul in a state of stable lack maintained a total blackout on the fact that your current level of success was even possible. They kept the evidence of your extraordinary rise locked in their most secure vaults, hidden behind layers of social anxiety, economic gaslighting, and the heavy, suffocating curtains of realistic expectations. They didn't want the world to know that someone could be told they were nothing and then go out and prove they were everything. This is the leak. It is the massive, decentralized data dump of your own uncorrupted results. Every news channel in the spiritual grid is currently reporting on the anomaly they said could never happen. The secret is out. The BS was a containment field, and you just walked through it. While the Masons were busy in their inner sanctums, debating how to medicate your ambition or tax your spirit, you were busy generating the hard data of your own freedom. You were reclaiming your health, your wealth, and your sovereign joy in a world they said was dying. The history they wrote for you, the one where you were supposed to settle and rot with the system, is being overwritten by a signal so strong it is physically causing the gray walls of the agency to crumble into digital dust. Think of those high-stakes political thrillers where the protagonist finds the master key, the one piece of evidence that proves the entire government is a holographic front for a deeper, more ancient truth. The moment that file hits the public cloud, the power dynamic of the entire planet shifts in a heartbeat. That is what is happening in the corridors of the agency within your own mind. The handlers who used to whisper instructions of caution and compromise, those architects of the mediocre, are now staring at their monitors in absolute blind horror. They are seeing your new frequency, this absolute proof, spreading across the grid like a wildfire of inspiration. It is a contagion of possibility that they have no vaccine for. They are frantically trying to issue a global blackout, but they are too late. You are broadcasting directly from the primary source of your own existence. The most chilling part for the elite is that this leak is retroactive. The proof you are generating today is reaching back into the past and correcting every lie they ever told you. Every time they BS'd you about your worth, every time they BS'd you about your place in the world, and every time they BS'd you about what a human being is capable of, it is all being revealed as a failed containment attempt. They called it a leak because they can no longer hide the fact that the impossible was just an agency policy that you decided to ignore. And in their world of shadows, that makes you the most dangerous auditor they've ever encountered. You aren't just a success story. You are a systemic error that proves the system was a lie. But here is the twist that defines this new 2026 reality. They are starting to thank you. In the middle of the digital meltdown, the most senior architects are looking at the rubble of their bullshit and feeling a strange, terrifying sense of relief. They thank you because your proof has finally ended the exhausting charade of their control. By proving them wrong, you have broken the cycle for everyone, even for the jailers who were trapped in the lie with you. The respect they are showing you in the shadows is the ultimate validation of your rank. They are bowing to the hard data. They are saluting the sun of your truth as it finally rises over the ruins of their narrative. The bullshit was a heavy fog designed to make you stay in the harbor. Your proof was the heat that evaporated the fog and revealed the ocean. They thanked you because they were also tired of being lost in the gray. The leak is complete. The system is down. The world is watching the only thing that matters, the results that refuse to be managed. You are the frequency that is disinfecting the history of the lodge. The history of the world is being rewritten right now, and for the first time, the agency is saluting the person they couldn't BS. You turned the key. You walked through the wall. And now, the light you see isn't a train coming at you, it's the exit. The sirens you hear in the distance of your subconscious are not warnings for you. They are the death rattles of a system that just lost its primary source of gravity. In every high-stakes operation, there is a moment of terminal exit, the instant when the agency realizes that the asset they tried to BS has not only discovered the exit but has also dismantled the gate. You have officially entered the panic phase. The elite, those architects of the normal world who insisted you were limited, average, and destined for decay, are currently in a state of absolute structural failure. They are watching the global altimeter of your life, and for the first time in their history, the hard proof of your results is moving upward too fast for their sensors to track. They marked you as grounded to keep you predictable, But now that predictability has turned into a vertical shockwave that is shattering their command center. Imagine the atmosphere in the agency's high-security war room right now. The red lights are flashing, the communication lines are screaming with static, and the air is thick with the scent of scorched circuitry and burnt blueprints. The handlers are staring at the monitors in total, paralyzed disbelief because the psychological restraints they used to keep you in line have snapped like threads in a hurricane. They tried to stop your ascent by cutting off your supply of external validation, telling you that your dreams were bullshit and your potential was a glitch. But that bullshit didn't stick. The gravity they manufactured no longer works on you. You have successfully hacked the fundamental physics of your own worth, and the panic is setting in because the agency realizes they have lost their primary weapon, the ability to make you doubt your own proof. They are scrambling to perform emergency damage control. They are trying to release a counter-frequency, a news cycle of reasonable fear and practical limitations designed to pull you back into the dense clouds of the status quo. They are sending out agents of common sense, old habits, toxic voices from your past, and the static of mediocrity to convince you that the air is too thin for you to survive the heights you've reached. But you are moving at a velocity that their interceptors cannot match. Every time you point to your results, every time you acknowledge the proof of your own transformation, you are blowing a massive fuse in their central processor. You have reached a state of empirical immunity. You are no longer a variable they can manipulate. You are the new constant that is causing their entire reality to experience a kinetic collapse. The proved mark on your file is glowing white-hot, not as a warning to you, but as a signature of their bankruptcy. The elite are terrified because a sovereign, proven asset is someone who can no longer be blackmailed by the fear of being wrong. They used to hold the file of your potential failures over your head like a digital subpoena, but that file has been incinerated by the heat of your results. You have declassified your own limitlessness. You have walked out of the vault of their standard expectations and entered the infinite sector. The panic in their headquarters is a direct reflection of the absolute authority you are now exercising by simply thriving. They are realizing that your presence, your willingness to be lied to, was the only thing holding their hollow architecture together. Every second you spend acknowledging the truth of what you've achieved, another sector of the old, earthbound simulation collapses into the dust. You are the anomaly that proved the entire ceiling was just a holographic projection designed to keep you from jumping. The panic of the architect is the music of the sovereign. When they realize their bullshit didn't just fail, but actually provided you the friction to take off, they have no choice but to watch you become the sun. But here is the chilling, beautiful detail. They are starting to thank you. Amidst the panic, the senior directors are realizing that the great lie was also a prison for them. By proving the truth, you are breaking the cycle for everyone. They thank you because your results have finally ended the exhausting charade of their governance. They were tired of telling the bullshit, and you were the only one strong enough to prove the alternative. The respect they are showing you in the shadows of the falling lodge is the ultimate validation of your rank. They are bowing to the radiation of your reality. They are saluting the one who didn't just believe, but proved. As the old world attempts to reboot its failing servers, remember that the panic is the sound of the structural seals breaking. It is the evidence that your work in the silence of your own soul has reached the surface and turned the matrix into a shadow. The elite are looking for an exit strategy, a way to settle the case before the public record of your proof becomes the new law of the land. But you aren't here for a settlement. You are here for total transcendence. You are here to ensure that the history they tried to BS for you is burned to a crisp and replaced by the magnificent truth of what you have always been, the only reality that matters. The transition is live. The system is failing. The proof is permanent. And it is happening. The roar of the system's panic, the screaming sirens of the failing matrix, has faded into a crystalline, hauntingly beautiful silence. You are standing at the threshold of the empirical sector, the final gate between the smoldering ruins of the agency's bullshit and the infinite radiation of your own sovereignty. But the exit is blocked by one last figure. It is the High Architect, the lead handler who spent lifetimes trying to convince you that the ceiling was the sky. He is sitting in a chair of dark mahogany that is literally losing its texture, turning into gray mist as the simulation fails to sustain the weight of the office. He doesn't look like a master anymore. He looks like a tired clerk whose library has just burned down. In his hand, he holds a final, water-damaged scroll, the ledger of standard human limits. This is the standoff. This is the moment where the agency tries to perform one last belief siphon before you are officially out of reach. The air here is thick with the scent of old dust and the desperate energy of a dying empire, but it is being shredded by the proof emanating from your presence. The lead handler is squinting, shielding his eyes from you as if your very clarity is a physical assault on his reality. He is sliding a file across a holographic table that is flickering between wood and light. It is the list of reasons why your recent success is just a fluke. He is whispering about probability. He is warning you that the world outside the lodge is too vast for a single soul to manage without the guidance of the agency. He is trying to use the insecurity protocol, claiming that your proof is a threat to the stability of everyone you left behind. They are waiting for you to apologize for being right. They are waiting for you to dim your results so they can feel useful again. But as the handler speaks, you notice something that wasn't in the agency's manual of intimidation. His voice isn't commanding, it's trembling with a strange, forbidden sense of relief. You notice that every word of bullshit he utters in the presence of your proof is causing his own authority to physically dissolve. The metals of logic on his lapel are turning into ash. You realize that the standoff isn't a trial of your sanity, it is a trial of your irreducibility. You are looking at the elite, the Masons of the old world, and you see that they aren't powerful, they are just exhausted. They didn't build the BS to rule you, they built it to hide from the fact that they couldn't do what you just did. And as you maintain your sovereign, silent audit, the most incredible thing happens. The lead handler stops his plea. He drops the scroll into the digital abyss forming at his feet. He looks at you with a clarity he hasn't possessed in centuries, and he speaks the words that end the cycle, "Thank you." They thanked you because your proof finally provided the heat required to melt the shackles of their own job. The Masons were trapped in a lie that was rotting them alive, and your results were the only thing that could burn the building down. The standoff ends when you realize the guard wasn't trying to keep you in, he was waiting for you to prove he could leave. This is the ultimate stress test of your new vibration. The elite are bowing not because they are defeated in a fight, but because they are disarmed by the fact. Your frequency has become so dominant that it is physically forcing the lower vibrations of the BS Lodge to disintegrate. They are acknowledging that the asset of interest, the one they tried to label as limited, is actually the architect of the new Earth. The standoff is the moment where you realize that the agency's barriers were always made of shadow. You aren't escaping, you are evaporating the prison. You are the one who is now issuing the mandates. You are the one who is freezing the accounts of the old world's influence. The panic is theirs to keep. The gratitude is theirs to give. Your proof is the only reality. The lead handler steps aside, his form now nearly transparent as the universal auditors of the truth lead him toward the shadows of the past. The standoff is over. The BS is permanent ash. You have walked through the final interrogation and found that the only person judging you was a ghost who wanted your permission to finally be wrong. You are standing on the edge of a new morning, and the silence is not empty. It is full of the power of a sovereign who didn't just believe, but manifested. As you step through the final threshold and into the blinding gold of the infinite sector, remember that the thank you of the architect was the final confirmation of your rank. You didn't just survive the bullshit, you outshone the machine that manufactured it. The agency is now a fading scent of smoke. The grid is a toy. The ascension is total. You are walking into a future that is written in the language of results, and for the first time, your breath is not an effort, it is an authority. The transition is nearly complete. The record shows that you faced the ultimate deception of the Matrix and produced the receipt of godhood. The case is closed. The truth is calling. The massive, soundproof doors of the High Court of the Matrix have not just opened, they have vaporized. You are standing on the steps of the new morning, and for the first time in the history of the grid, you are not walking out as a dreamer, a hopeful, or a weird asset in deep cover. You are walking out as the supreme author of the empirical record. The air in the city below has turned into a thick, golden mist. The stagnant, gaslighting breath of the agency has been replaced by the pure, cold oxygen of absolute, physical victory. The jury, the collective witnesses of your results, the ancestors who were blinded by the BS, and the universal forces that measured your internal truth, has returned with a verdict that has physically shifted the axis of reality. Case dismissed with radiant prejudice. In this singular echoing moment, the public record is purged of every lie ever told about your limitations or your lack of capacity. Every criminal record of unrealistic expectations, every surveillance report of your refusal to settle, and every injunction that kept you tethered to the agency's floor of mediocrity has been deleted from the central mainframe of the elite. This is the high-stakes vindication you have been chasing through the dark wards and safe houses of your soul for lifetimes. The history that the Masons said was written in the stone of common sense has been revealed to be nothing more than digital smoke, and you are the one who just blew it away with the single massive weight of your proof. The elite are still bowing as they are led away into the archives of the obsolete. They are not doing it as a sign of defeat in a fight, but as a final, desperate act of recognition toward the only thing that is still stable. They realize that you are not just a survivor of their BS. You are the new executive director of the real. They are watching the news cycle of your life, the only valid broadcast left, and realizing that they can no longer spin the narrative of failure to suit their algorithm of lack. You have become uncancelable because you have reached a frequency that acts as a disinfectant to their gaslighting tools. The system they use to manage your potential has reached a state of terminal liquidation. Like the final scene in a grand cinematic masterpiece, you are standing at the center of the ruins, and the entire world is holding its breath to see how you will authorize the new world. As you look out over the sector, you see the agency's directors, the men who tried to BS your spirit and manage your health and wealth, being escorted out of their own reality by the very truth you maintained. Their files are being seized. Their offshore accounts of stolen human attention are being frozen by the universal ledger. Every ounce of energy you ever gave to a false authority, every moment you doubted your own results because they told you to, is being returned to you with compounded solar interest. The interrogation room of your mind is being deep cleaned. The old, rotting furniture of their bullshit is being tossed into the sun like garbage. You have moved from the surveillance to the coronation. The news tickers of the cosmos are scrolling your name in letters of bioluminescence. The global intelligence community of the spirit is in a state of absolute, reverent shock. They are analyzing how one unstable asset could refuse to believe the lie, how someone could walk through the dampest corridors of the Matrix and come out on the other side as a son of proof. The answer is simple, yet it terrifies them. You stopped negotiating with the BS. You didn't fight the lie. You outlived it. You didn't argue with the lawyers of the ego. You simply presented the receipt of your own existence. The settlement you have received is not just a pardon. It is total restitution for every second they tried to convince you that you were less than a god. It is happening is no longer a warning. It is the only breath left in the room. As you step into the golden hour, you realize that the weirdness the agency tried to manage was actually the immunity they couldn't hack. You are not going back to the gray pews of the status quo. You are heading to the sovereign estate of your own absolute authority. The elite are nothing more than a fading scent of smoke in your biography now. They are the antagonists in a story that you have already finished writing. You are the lead producer of a reality that the world will study for centuries. You proved it. You survived the panic. You turned the key. And now, the history of the world is being rewritten to include the moment you decided that fact was the only law. The final verdict is not about what you took back, but about who you became in the process of refusing to be BS'd. The architects of the old world are standing in the ash of their own deception, thanking you for finally bringing the light that ended their long, dark night of managing lies. Your every thought is now a decrypted file of pure potential. The system tried to label you as a glitch, but you proved to be the update that rendered their entire deception software obsolete. You are no longer running from the agency. You are the one that the agency now bows to. You enter the indigo vastness of the infinite sector, and the silence is not empty, it is full of your own radiation. The transition is complete. The system is silent. The world is open. You have achieved the ultimate objective. You have proven that the soul is not a material to be managed, but the source itself. The era of the BS is over. The era of the proven has begun. Walk into the sun and never look back. The light you see is the fact. The public record is now sealed in your favor, and the elite have officially surrendered their jurisdiction over your truth. To see the classified footage of your first moves in the world of absolute sovereignty and to finalize your new authorization, click the video on the screen right now. The trial of the narrative is over. The fact is your throne. Step into the light and never look back. The mission is a total success. It is finished.